The recent exchanges between myself and the outgoing regime have revealed a fundamental difference in vision and outlook. Some have called me pessimistic for questioning the grandiose promises of Singapore first world status, because this is what I'm saying. I've called it the dead cat syndrome. When you find everybody is unhappy, no money in their pocket, abductions, unexplained killings, then you see the world is, the sun is shifting behind you, then you employ the dead cat strategy. Dead cat, you throw a dead cat on that table. Hey, faka amekufa, mweusi amekufa. Then everybody is confused. They forget about the problems you are facing. I dare suggest this is what the William Ruto administration is trying to do. They don't mean anything about Singapore. We've been there. I said once in one of the interviews, I personally visited the port of Singapore. I was foreign minister, President Moi, and we are learning how to use our port of Mombasa to follow the example of the port of Singapore. Nobody is against making Kenya a first world country. And let me tell you how we make this done. Those who are saying what has he done in 40 years, by the way, I must tell them, 28 years, yes, straight, as a member of parliament for Kitui, no, member of parliament for Mwingi, no. And then, of course, I went in as deputy, assistant minister, deputy president, minister in several of those ministries. A lot of people find it difficult to put down my CV. Paloma's tried. I keep on correcting every sentence. Within 28 years, William Ruto has been deputy president, leave alone being MP, for 10 years as deputy president. I did only one term under Kibaki. All right? And he's already done another 3 years. And when he was deputy president, it was when he was putting brakes, like Philip Kaloke has just reminded us about that road from Kibwezi. By the way, Professor, that road was supposed to move from Kibwezi to Mutomo, to Kitui, to Mwingi, right? To Mwingi Kandia, to Sekuru, with a portion of it cutting across to Gatunga and Maua, linking up Isiolo. That's an important artery. That's what Ruto has been playing around with. And now coming to the region to say, I'm doing this road from here, I'm doing this road from here. The same project, the same contractor, Sinohydro, the same that we launched. And they refused to pay Sinohydro, that is why there was stoppage between Kitui and Mwingi, the 17 kilometers, which got Mheshimiwa CNN confused. This momentum extends beyond our party. The united opposition, which I'm proud to co-lead alongside Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, Eugene Wamalwa, Martha Karua, Fred Matiang'i, and many others, represents Kenya's best hope for change in 2027. We are united, not by personal ambition, but a shared commitment to rescuing our country from mismanagement and restoring democratic governance. Fellow patriots, as we step into the new year, let us commit to building the Kenya we all deserve. A Kenya where justice is not for sale. A Kenya where national assets belong to the people, not being sold at throwaway prices to private interests associated with the Ruto regime. A Kenya where every child can access quality education regardless of the family's income and which region they come from. A Kenya where healthcare is a right, not a privilege. A Kenya where our elections are free, fair, and credible. A Kenya where leaders serve the people, not themselves. This is not an impossible dream. This is a Kenya that our founding fathers envisioned. This is a Kenya that President Kibaki and I worked to build. This is a Kenya that the Wiper Patriotic Front is committed to delivering. Are you tired? No. The community is still reeling from the violence in Transmara. I heard Ruto say the criminals will be arrested. But ask ourselves, why is it happening? It is because of greed, land grabbing in Transmara. By who? I leave that question for Kenyans to answer. The mothers and fathers who lost their children during the June 25th, 24 Gen Z revolution. In 2024 and in 2025, we lost our children again. They are still waiting for answers. Those mothers are still, and fathers are still waiting for answers and still demanding accountability from this administration. This season reminds us that greatness is not found in places of power, but in the humblest acts of service. It calls us to be our brothers and our sisters' keeper, to extend compassion to those who suffer, to speak for the voiceless, and to build a Kenya where every citizen experiences dignity, opportunity, and peace. Peace is so fundamental. Even if you want to deny them opportunity, please allow them to celebrate life. Don't take it. Don't just take it away from them. Hatutakuwa tukisita. We shall be saying as it is. And therefore I call on members of Wiper Patriotic Movement to take leadership. I met some experts yesterday at the command center. I said, you lack surrogate. Say surrogate. Surrogate ni nani? Mmoja niambie. Surrogate, watu wa kuongea. You are all sitting comfortable in your zones. Yes. Very comfortable. Yes. You're not talking to the rest of the country. Yes. Yaani nyinyi wangapi wako tayari kusaidia mtoto anazaliwa kesho? Nyinyi muende kila mahali na muongee. We change from Wiper Democratic Movement to Wiper Patriotic Front because ni wakati wa ukombozi. Yes. It is not going to be a normal election in 2027. Watoto waliuawa, wengine wakawa abducted. Niliona mjumbe mmoja wa Kenya Kwanza huko Uingereza alipata shida sana kwa BBC. Wakenya waliamka wakasema nyinyi mnao watoto. They had the figures 159 abductions, even better figures than we have. Mumeona jana wanajaribu kwenda angalau kusema tulipwe wale waliuawa. This thing has to be serious because the injustice, the social injustice, the killings in this country, that blood could not have been shed in vain. So this is why we said you give this movement an oomph. Sema oomph. Inaandikwaje oomph? Give me the spelling. Mama Taita Taweta. M W O M A. Oomph. Ndio hiyo. So that you cannot sit and think it's a normal election that is coming around. Ni kukomboa inchi. I take this opportunity to extend my deepest appreciation to the Wiper women patriots who have taken time to celebrate this day with me here at Kidimani Farm. No, Kidimani means a well. Actually, the well. Kidimani is here. The spread you have put together this afternoon has been nothing short of spectacular, and I'm truly humbled and appreciative. Truly awesome. So let's give each other a clap. Madam Wiper Women Patriots President, Mheshimiwa Rose Museo, thank you together with your team. To the Wiper Women Patriots, to our mothers, sisters, daughters, and grandmothers who have stood with me through thick and thin, who have mobilized in villages and cities, and who have kept the faith in me, I want to say thank you. Your sacrifices do not go unnoticed. Your voices are heard. Your strength actually gives me real strength. As we celebrate together, I'm reminded that true leadership is not about individual glory. It's about servant leadership, servanthood. Remember that is a cornerstone of our party's ideology. Servant leadership. It is about serving the people with integrity, with transparency, and an unwavering commitment to the rule of law. You gathered here, you gathered here to embody these values every single day, and that is why our party is the most respected political organization in our country, and I want to say beyond. For that, I salute you. Fellow patriots, this season calls us to hope and to action. As families gather to celebrate, we must remember those who cannot, who simply cannot, at this particular time. The families grieving loved ones lost on our roads. We stand today at a critical juncture in our country's history. The economic burden placed upon the shoulders of the ordinary Mwananchi by the Ruto regime in just 3 years is not merely heavy, it is unconscionable. We are witnessing a systematic erosion of the dignity and of livelihoods of hard-working Kenyans across this great republic. Men who keep on crying and they look forward to January now, there will be a further aggression, raiding of the payslip with increased payments to NSSF. And you know what they want to do? They say they'll ring fence those monies when they sell the national oil pipeline, when they sell Safaricom shares, when they sell other state parastatal bodies, and they put that in what they're calling a ring-fenced basket, because they realize that they cannot increase taxes next year because that would be suicidal for them. They know this. So in order, another way of taxing Kenyans is to put this money, say we are selling it, these parastatals, we put in this in order to perhaps plug in the hole that they would have otherwise filled by overtaxation. They know, they're clever, they can't. You've heard Minister Badi say we will not touch because they know. But as they refuse to touch, they are touching the conscience of the nation. They are taking all we have and putting it in a basket and pretending that they are going to build roads. Consider the plight of our farmers, the backbone of this nation, who can no longer afford basic inputs like fertilizer to till their land. Think of the parents, decent and hard-working people, who are being forced to choose between feeding their families and educating their children. This is not just an injustice, it is a violation of the constitutional right to education. Even placing kids to grade 10 or whatever, everything comes with a level of corruption. Therefore then, we must, Kenyans of conscience, must really determine that, God willing, as we cross this year, we'll never be the same again. We are not going to just sit there and be yes men or yes women. Our small and our medium enterprises, the very engine of our economy, are being suffocated by punitive taxation regimes and predatory lending practices that show no mercy. Can you imagine? Without dealing with serious manufacturing, our manufacturing sector is almost zero. Without an important cornerstone, which is peace, Kenyans living peaceably. After 3 years in power, people in his backyard are getting killed. The boundary between Narok and Bomet. We have witnessed an alarming erosion of our democratic institutions. We again heard it from the senators here and other leaders, members of parliament. The independence of the IEBC is self-compromised, as we saw clearly in the recent by-elections. And we're dealing with that. We're really dealing with that. The judiciary faces mounting pressure, but this is the last beacon of hope. And we hope our judiciary will hold on. Key national assets, the JKIA, to Kenya Pipeline, to Safaricom, to ADC, Kenya Ports Authority itself, and I was hoping, rather than selling out KPA, please go visit Singapore again, William Ruto, and see how the port of Singapore, major transition in terms of handling world logistics, the port of Singapore stands out clearly. These are being auctioned off to the highest bidder, and I think that the highest bidder includes, and this is what is unacceptable, right? Those representing those in authority. They are hiding, they are actually selling to themselves. Now this is what we are now, what is going to quote a real revolution, because we will not allow it. No transparency in these dealings. No public participation, as is the case with the selling of the Safaricom shares. And without regard for economic sovereignty. This is not development, this is mortgaging our children's future. So the families grieving loved ones lost on our roads and in our hospitals. I said today in an earlier interview that there are about 500 patients at Kenyatta National Hospital waiting, can you imagine, to be given an opportunity to go for x-rays, to have an opportunity to get medication, but they can't because the hospital has run out of funds. And the reason is the William Ruto administration decided that every payment to any of these government institutions must go through some central something. Remember e-citizen. And then after, when they feel able to, then they then send to Kenyatta Hospital and other. That delay has occasioned deaths. That's why today in one of the newspaper headlines, Kenyatta Hospital is painted as a death hospital. I think somebody said that the example of Singapore, first of all, Ruto does not know that Singapore is a city-state. A city-state. Even that comparison itself, I think when you have to be very clear, you're talking about moving. I personally believe the time for the African tiger, the African lion, is now. Because you have our resources. You saw President Trump in trying to get President Tshisekedi and President Kagame to sign that peace agreement in Washington, which was witnessed by regional leaders, including William Ruto. I remember the president of Namibia was, I think, Angola, Namibia. The president of Burundi. They weren't there, but because William Ruto is chairman of the East African Summit, he also had to be there. Trump made it clear that the reason he's pushing Kagame and Tshisekedi to sign is because the US is interested in the real minerals, the mineral wealth of this continent is unimaginable. It can shift Kenya to another level, not just Singapore. Not just Singapore. And so we know this. You know, I wish this lady from Machakos County, I wish she was here. What is her name? The one who gave an interview, na watu wa ODM wakaanza kusema wanataka kumchukua. Zora came out and impressed the whole world. We need more Zoras. Mutoke. Muongee.